Hello again, it's Tina Korani here, back with another exciting design tutorial. Today we're going to dive into the world of mockups using my favorite Adobe tools, Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, and Dimensions. In this demo, we'll craft several distinct mockups, primarily for stationery systems to help them truly stand out. Not only will these mockups elevate your designs, but they will also serve as a captivating cover images for your portfolio website. So let's start turning your flat designs into compelling immersive experiences. Let's dive right into the creative process. First up, we're tackling Adobe Photoshop, an incredible tool not just for traditional editing but also for creating 3D mockups, such as storefronts. What I love about Photoshop is how it streamlines mockup creation, especially with Adobe stock mockup templates. Whether it's a t-shirt or storefront or stationery systems for a business, Photoshop is my go-to. Let's get started. Head over to Adobe Stock Images. We're looking for free mockup templates. Today we'll focus on the stationery systems, but feel free to choose whatever resonates with your project. Once there, use the filters to select templates and then select Photoshop. You'll find plenty of options. Scroll through, search, and download whatever suits your design by selecting it and then click on License. Remember, make sure that you log into your Adobe plan before doing this. Here are some of the templates that I downloaded from Adobe Stock. As you can see, some of the files are not showing up because they are not in the .pst format. So what you need to do is to click on it to rename it and then remove the T and then click on use .psd. Do the same for the remainder of the files. Okay, now that I have all the mockups open in Photoshop, it's time to place my design inside the right folder. So let's take a stationery set as an example. So what we're going to do is to look for the right layer inside the layers panel. For example, I want to just place my letterhead. You can toggle on and off the layers visibility to kind of make sure that you are in the right place. Look for a layer that says your design here or place your design here, and then double click on that thumbnail. Now I have to place my letterhead on this document. To do that, I'll go to Adobe Illustrator. So one way of doing this is to take my design, right click, copy, or just like drag and drop onto my Adobe Photoshop file. The other way would be to export the Illustrator file. So what I will do in that case will be to go to File, Export, Export As. I'm going to click on Use Artboards and then JPEG. I'm going to save it somewhere, computer, and then make sure again it's a JPEG, all pages, all artboards, and then click on Export. So that will be a little bit easier way of doing this rather than kind of like drag and drop every time onto the Photoshop file. I don't know if you noticed, but this mockup template is probably using an A4 size for the letterhead. However, in my original design, I created this for a US letter size paper. So because the letterheads in the US are in letter size, so then that's how I designed it. But you can just scale it up and down again using the Command T, making sure that you're in the right layer, and then press on Command T, and then you kind of scale it up, down a little bit, and press on Enter. The other thing you can do is to right click and rasterize the layer, and then use the Photoshop magic to kind of like make this design fit. So what I'm going to do is using the rectangular selection tool, select this area. I'm going to click on Content Aware Fill. So as you can see, kind of like help us expand that portion. And then I'm going to go to File, Save, and then close this tab. If you kind of like don't like some of like the sections of the mockup, like the background image, or if you're not the biggest fan of some of, like for example, the accessories this mockup comes up with, you could definitely again hide some of these accessories. Honestly, the rest of the accessories doesn't bother me, actually makes it more like real, so why not? The other thing that I might change though would be the hardwood color. Just probably make it a little bit more like a grayish tone, so something like that, maybe a little bit brighter too, so maybe something like that. But if you don't want to just use the wooden background image, you can just like change that to whatever you like. But that will be like secondly. First, we need to place all our stationery set inside this mockup. Okay, the next one will be the envelope. As you can see, the envelope is also a different size than what we originally had in Illustrator. So what I'm going to do is to kind of like drag and drop the envelope over here. So this is the envelope. I'm going to scale up slightly, then zoom out, and then rasterize a layer, and then use like the content aware fill to fill that space. Go to File, Save. I'm going to close that tab and then go into the next section. If you cannot like the mockup that you're using, like mine, consists of many different folders, many layers inside each folder, although it's named properly and should be kind of like easy to find stuffs, but you could also use the selection tool, kind of like check the auto select, and then if you click on the different portion of the stationery now, it can just like help you navigate to the right thumbnail. So as you can see, we have the majority of our stationery set completed. If you don't like the iPhone, for instance, you can definitely like hide the smartphone. I just feel like it helps with the balance, so I'm just gonna keep it. It just takes us like a second to replace this graphic with another graphic. If you want to fill like the background with like a color, just double click on the right hand side to go to the layer style, click on color overlay, change this color to whatever color you want, and then click on OK. I'm going to go to my desktop and then drag and drop the logo onto my artboard. So I'm going to click on save, and there we go. We have our very first stationery set ready to go. You can do whatever you like with this one. You can, if you want to get rid of this wood texture, you can definitely do so. Double click on the right hand side of the layer and then click on color overlay. Change the color to another color you might like a little better, and then click on OK. Okay, so we are done with our first set. Let's move on to the next one. In our next stationery set, we have a front and back of a business card, and then place your mock-up over here. So I have another stationery set that I want to use for this one. Okay, so and then I'm going to use Command minus or Control minus to zoom out. I'm going to rasterize this layer and then use the content aware fill. Same thing over here. Okay, Command S or Control S. We want to do this really quick. Moving on to the next one. Okay, we have our next stationery set ready. We're doing this really fast, but some of the stationeries are a little bit easier to work with. So it means that they're, for example, all like the cream postcards, business cards, could be all connected to each other. So there are some templates that just make this process a lot easier. This one is not one of those. Alrighty, we are done with our next stationery set. So we're going to move on to the next one. This one is an easy one. All you need to do is to drag and drop. I'm going to hide the content of this layer. Just drag and drop my logo onto here. I'm gonna drag and drop. Since I don't have the logo saved on my computer, I'm just gonna drag and drop this one over here and go to File, Save. There we go. I have a few more examples for you guys to take a look at. For example, this one is a pretty interesting one, so we can kind of like place your design over here. I'm gonna hide this one and then place my logo onto my artboard. And then click on File, Save. Voila! So you can see how cool it looks like. It has that kind of like gold effect. There are so many other ones. For example, this one is like a little bit easier one. If I remember correctly, you can just like place your design on one variation. For example, if I were to kind of like, you know, make this for this my other stationery set, you can kind of explore, like see how this works. So I'm just gonna select that, drag and drop. Again, this is not the right way of doing it, but for the demo purposes, we can kind of want to explore and see how this will look like. I'm going to create an empty layer for the background. If you want to fill the background with a a color, you can just like kind of like change the color of the background, for example, to whatever color you like, and then press Command and Delete or Control and Delete while you are in your empty layer, and it will fill the layer with your background color. Okay, so now, we're done with that one. I'm gonna just move this text a little bit lower down and then press on Command S to save. Close that out. As you can see, this template is among my favorite templates because it's all connected. The thumbnails are connected, so I don't have to do this every time for every single one of the business cards. So that makes it like amazing. Rotate it, scale it up to the size I want, press on enter or return, move this to the top layer, or just like hide the other layers, and then again drag and drop. And in Photoshop and most of the Adobe tools, you have smart guides that help you find the center of the artboard. Press on enter for return, Command S or Control S, and there you go. We have a very nice set over here. Envision, so I think, oh, this one is the overlay shadows. In case you don't want it, you can just take it off, but I personally really like it because it makes it look more real. I have an example of banner for you guys. Okay, again moving that to the top layer, and I'm going to change the background color to a different background color. Again, going back to my mockup. Here's a very beautiful mockup that I have over here. This one again is also easy to work with. You know how to work with these ones right now. Use the selection tool. For instance, move this up a little more. I have this other example. Again, this one is also very easy to work with. I can adjust the lighting as well. So this one, for instance, again, you can just place your business card onto here. Command S. Looks pretty good. We have a street signage that you can also easily find on Adobe stock. I'm gonna hide this one. Go to my file, Illustrator file, drag and drop, make this larger in size, and then I'm also going to make it, give it a color overlay. Command S or Control S to save, and here's how it looks like for their sign. There's like packaging that you can also kind of also work with. It's pretty cool. You can for storefronts. It's also easy to work with some of these templates. Again, you can just like drag and drop or copy from the Illustrator file. Close that out. We have another one over here. This one is also pretty cool. If you double click on the T, if some of the mockups are giving you the ability to kind of like replace the text, you can feel free to do so. Then change some of these colors to different colors, maybe slightly bluish tone. Okay, then go back to the file and save. Close that out. Looks pretty nice. This one is one of my favorite ones. If you want to change the font size, again, you can use the type tool. Triple click on the font, or you want to resize. You can also double click on the T over here. I'm just gonna drag this down to make it a smaller font size. Move this over here. Since the tagline doesn't have to be on the storefront, I'm just going to rasterize the layer, then delete. Okay, then go to, I'm gonna move that down a little more. Go File, Save. Magic, isn't it? So I hope you enjoyed this part of the demo on how you can create your mockups using Adobe Photoshop. So as you can see, it's the perfect tool to create 3D type of mockups if you find the right mockup on Adobe stock. 2D, 3D mockups to present your ideas, showcase your work, or create cover images for your portfolio website. Moving on from Photoshop, let's explore Adobe Illustrator's Mockup Beta tool. This feature revolutionizes how we apply designs to 3D objects, be it packaging, apparel, or home decor. It's all about visualizing your work in a real-world context, quickly and efficiently. Join me as I unveil the power of Illustrator to create realistic, engaging mockups for any project. You see, what I like about creating mockups in Adobe Illustrator is that you don't have to worry about taking your artboard export inside a Photoshop mockup and then placing that in the right layer. It will save you so much time in the long run. So to do that, you only need just a few seconds. So I'm going to just like duplicate my logo, edit, copy, edit, paste, and place it on an image. So I'm going to right click, arrange, bring to front. Here's my logo. I want to place this on this cardboard box. So to do that, all you need to do is select the image and your logo at the same time, and then go to Object, Mockup, Make. It will take just a few seconds, and it will actually create put your logo in so many different other mockups that you can use and kind of like include that in your portfolio. Looks pretty amazing, doesn't it? And it actually detects all the surfaces. So for example, if you just like make this one a little bit smaller, you could make it holding shift, make it fit on this cup, but I probably want to just place it over here. And you can kind of like use some of these as well. There you go. Looks pretty amazing, doesn't it? In only a few seconds, you have placed your logo in so many different materials. And then you can share that with your client, include that in your portfolio, and so much more. Just keep in mind that this is still in beta mode, so it's probably by the time, maybe in a couple of months, it's just going to get even better in terms of like detecting the surfaces. I think honestly it's doing a really good job. I'm really glad that at least not for every single mockup I have to just like, export my files and take them to Photoshop. Definitely this one really makes the process so much easier. Shifting gears, we enter the versatile world of Adobe Dimension. This tool excels where Photoshop and Illustrator might limit you due to template availability. In Dimension, the power is in your hands to craft any mockup, whether it's a coffee cup or a glass jar, with complete control over objects, materials, lighting. So it's a go-to for creating unique custom mockups with ease. Let's dive in and discover the boundless creative possibilities with Adobe Dimension. Once you launch Adobe Dimension, you're going to click on Create New. Okay, on the left-hand side, we have the toolbox, and we can see the starter assets. We have access to a variety of basic shapes, many different models you can choose from, and quickly import to your scene. For example, let's import these coffee cup. You can also apply many different textures to the objects. For example, if you are looking for a cardboard box, you can type that in, and then I'm going to apply that. You can just apply to the whole object, or you can just like only apply that to the cup. I'm gonna close that out and apply a different material for the lid. For example, a glossy texture like this one. And you can also change your directional lights, the environmental lights, however you wish, and add a background to your mockup. If you don't like this background, since you only have 5 backgrounds inside that comes inside this starter asset, you can import your own background images. To do that, simply just going to click on this plus button and then import your content, and then click on image as background. If you are looking for a few different background images for this step, you can go to Adobe Stock and then look for coffee shop table images, and then I'm going to just like download a few of these. For example, this one, if it's the first time you're downloading it, it will say license, and then click on license to download it to your computer, and then later on you can import it to your project. Make sure that you're logged into your Adobe account when you do this, so you can download that for free. If you don't have access to Adobe Stock, you can also look inside the free library. That still gives you access to a ton of these very cool images for your mockups. Okay. Going back to Adobe Dimension, I'm going to import my very first background image over here. Okay, so we need to make sure that the perspective of the background image and the object kind of like matches. If you want to just like move, for example, this coffee cup to the left or right, you can use the this kind of like arrows to move it along the z-axis or the x-axis. You can also rotate the cup or whatever object you have, and you can also scale it up or down. You have three square shapes in here that you can kind of like click on those, and if you just click and drag, it will kind of like scale it down from along the kind of the z-axis or y-axis. And if you want to scale it uniformly, you need to hold shift while you do that. Still, the perspective doesn't match, so you need to play around with this option over here. Yeah, something like that. And you can also play around with the different lights settings, for example, this one or that one. You can change the light intensity and also rotate the light. So since the light on this one is hitting from the right hand side, I'm going to just like increase the intensity and then rotate the light to right over here. As far as the environmental light, you can also increase or decrease the global light intensity and the rotation of the light, and as well as the ground plane. So now what I'm going to do is to add my logo onto my cup. Keep in mind, if you don't select anything, Adobe Dimension will not let you import your content. I will get an error message. It has to be a single selection, not a group. And in that case, again, make sure that first open this grouped folder and then click on the cup or the lead, wherever you want to place the logo on. I click on the cup plus, and then I'm going to add my logo onto this cup. If you see that you're not able to move this logo on this cardboard box, for example, what you need to do is just make sure that you are using the selection tool, and then if you still cannot do it, like you cannot change it, double click inside the cup and then try again, and you should be able to move the graphic. If you want to scale up or down the graphic, you can hold shift, click and drag, and you can just change the scale. You can also rotate it if you like. For example, you can rotate it to the left or right. Okay, we're done placing our logo on our coffee cup. Going to explore with one more object over here, maybe this coffee bag. I'm going to scale it down uniformly, holding shift. Okay, what I like about using Adobe Dimension, especially for mockups, is that you have full control over the layout of the scene as well. For example, if you want kind of like this coffee cup to be on the focus, you can definitely do so. Bring that closer to the camera. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to place my logo onto this coffee bag. I'm also going to apply the same cardboard box material to it. You can definitely explore with other materials, as many of these are like really cool. For example, this plastic one should be a good one as well. And then you can add your logo onto the box. All right, I'm going to move this, hold shift, click and drag. Okay, now that I'm done with creating my layout for my mockup, the next step is to export an image of the mockup. Before I do that, I want to make sure that the orbit is right. So again, play around with the orbit to make sure that it exactly matches the original image perspective. You can also pan to make sure it's exactly where you want it to be, and then also play around with this dolly, bring it closer to the camera or like a little bit further from the camera. So I want to just like leave it right here, and then the next step will be to render the graphic. You can choose the location where you want to export this image. I'm going to click on PNG as well as a Photoshop. If you want to just do more work on it later on, you can definitely export both of them. That concludes our journey into the world of mockups using Adobe's powerful tools. Share your creation, hit like if you found value, and subscribe for more design magic. Thank you for watching and see you next time.